Hey y'all, it's Michael, and today I'm here to talk about two books that I just recently finished on the Lemonade syllabus. The first one is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This book is in diary form. It's about Lauren Alamina, and it's a post-apocalyptic science fiction near the future type of book. It happens in LA in the year 2026, and there's basically like no jobs, the government ain't nothing, there's like so much violence in the world, there's like fires everywhere, and the scary part is it sounds really close to what's happening now. But our main character has this condition called hyperempathy. It's basically where she can feel what others are feeling, depending on the situation and whatnot. There's several things that this book does really well. First off, it sets up this really nice tension that something bad is gonna happen, and Butler really does convey that really well. Since this is all in diary form, this is all from Lauren's perspective, so we don't get to see what else is going on in the world. And there is a sequel to this, so I will be really intrigued to read that whenever I get to it eventually. Lauren, she's a really smart girl, and it's also setting up this idea that she will create a new religion. And that's what I really enjoyed about this book. This is a look into how a religion and how groups of people can come together based on this idea, because her idea is about basically creating like a Bible, and that is God is change. Not necessarily God per se, but more of this idea of things constantly changing and evolving, things keep moving forward. There's a constant motion of something going on in the world. There's something happening in the middle, in the second portion of this book. I'm not gonna say it because it's kind of a spoiler. Like the back of this book, which I had to return, but the back of this book is kind of a spoiler because it tells you what happened. I also really enjoyed this realistic, grotesque, and violent look into the society that basically everything crumbles down. It wasn't like just to be grotesque. We get to see as a reader how gone this world is, how really violent the society is. But my main thing with this book, and why I don't think I've really enjoyed it as much as like the other books that I've been reading for the past books from the Lemonade syllabus, is the character of Lauren herself. There's this really, for me anyways, there was this disconnect with her, and I felt as though, because this is an example of a book where the themes of this are so strong. I mean, I saw them, like the themes that Butler is bringing up and how it relates to even current time, because she wrote this way back. I needed to almost, I wouldn't say empathize, but I really needed to connect with Lauren, because when she is setting up this religion, I felt as though, like, for me to even be more convinced, I guess you could say, of this religion she's setting up, is that I really did need to connect with her. And I don't know if it's even more connecting per se. It's maybe something more of like, I want to say understanding, because I understood where she was coming from, but it was really this disconnect that really, I want to say, I guess it's almost like turn off. I needed to feel something with her and feel her empathy and feel her, like her point of view, because I think that was important as this book progressed along. And since the book was from her point of view, I never got that feeling. I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it because the themes again are really strong. Lemonade wise, I think this is hard to connect it back to Lemonade, but I think it's mainly, maybe it's how Beyonce views God, because to be honest, I don't know how. I know she's a Christian, but I don't know per se exactly how she views, what her view is on religion, so I would have to look that up, but yeah. Alright, the next book, I really enjoyed this. This is The Good Negress by A.J. Verdea? I was really excited to read this book because there's a blurb by Toni Morrison up on the top, and it says truly extraordinary. And after finishing it, I can really see why Toni Morrison would give this a thumbs up, because the character of the niece, Nisi, the character seemed really something that Morrison, like her other books that I've read, like Oh my god, I forgot the book name. Oh, God Help the Child. God Help the Child and like The Bluest Eye. Something similar to it, so I could see how she would recommend this book. This book is from the niece's point of view. Now, when I say this is from her point of view, good God, this is from her point of view, because the book is not necessarily in order. Like, it's not told chronologically, and it jumps so much. This book is really character heavy. If you're the type of reader that like a fast pacing like cohesive story, this is not for you, because this is all about Denise. And after I finished reading this, I knew who this character was. This book is about Denise, who was sent to her grandmother when she was young, to move down to with her grandmother, and then afterwards her mom took her back up to Detroit, and that's where she lived. So this book jumps around between those two timelines, essentially, about Denise living life. That's basically it, like Denise living life. So there's two parts of this, essentially. So when she's down with her grandma, oh my gosh, I love that. That's my favorite part of the book. Like when she is with her grandma, I just love her relationship with her grandmother. I really connected with that aspect of her life. I was like, oh my god. That's why when I was talking about this book on, if you watch the other vlogs, I couldn't read it in the coffee shop, because it almost hit, it was like, ooh, right here, because the parts with her grandma was so, for me anyways, were so emotional, and I felt it, and I knew that like if I read this in in public, things might happen. Like I don't want to be, you don't want to add salty tears to your coffee, like what? And I completely understood her relationship with her grandma, and this respect that she had for her grandma, and this kinship with her. That's one of my favorite. Those were my favorite parts. I also really enjoyed the part where she cooked. Nisi, the niece and niece, whatever I call her. Nisi, she can cook. Like she can throw it down in the kitchen, and I really enjoyed that portion of the book whenever she was cooking. But I also really like this juxtaposition between her grandma. Well, she lived in the South in more of a rural area, and then her mom, when she moved in with her mom, she lived in Detroit, so it's more of a urban city life area. And those two ways of living, you can really see it, how she describes it, because that's how actually I grew up. In my mom's hometown, it was more rural, like the closest city was so far away, and she lived in the mountains, and that was really interesting compared to my dad's. When I grew up, like I was going back and forth. My dad's hometown was more urbanized. I mean, like the Wi-Fi there now, anyways, is way more better than than my mom's hometown. But it's more city. Like there was like shopping areas and things like that. So it almost, like, I could really relate to how she felt. I also really enjoyed the part because when she moves to Detroit and she starts school there, she really connects with her teacher, and her teacher tries to teach her proper English, and I really like that she's learning. She's also trying to combat these bullies and these people picking on her. I really enjoyed that part. My one thing about this book, and I was so close to giving it a 5-star, is the last portion of this. It seems really abrupt, and I say that because like even in the beginning was like, wait, what? Like when the second chapter came on, I was like, wait, what? Like it kept moving back and forth, so I was kind of confused there for the beginning, but towards the end, but once I got my groove on, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. But towards the end, it seems really cut short. I felt as though she could have written more, and I would have been all for it, but I think that's just like a one complaint about it. But I would give this a 4.5. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I just love Denise as a character. If you read any of those 2 books, let me know what you thought about them. Until then, I'll see you guys till later. Bye!